Welcome to the Machinima Cinematography with the Source Engine tutorial. In this tutorial, you will unlock the secrets of filming in the Source Engine so you can learn how to make movies with it and become a magical wizard of destiny. Results may vary. Okay, the first thing we should discuss is what exactly this guide is about. Well, this guide covers almost everything involved with filming in the Source Engine, from coming up with an idea, writing a script, recording, editing, etc. And while this will be focused on using the Source Engine by Valve Software, a good portion of this applies to any kind of filmmaking, especially in a digital environment. This is a guide to help you turn your ideas and computer game footage into an actual machinima film. Now with that said, this guide does not cover how to animate your scene and your characters. There is just no way we could fit all of filmmaking in and animation. The only thing you're going to learn how to animate in this guide is the camera itself. Now the good news is that if you want to learn animation, we have a guide for that too. It's called Machinima Choreography with the Source Engine. I wrote it and narrate that one too, which could be a good or bad thing depending on your perspective. That guide is meant to complement this one. That one teaches how to animate characters and set up scenes, and this one teaches just about everything else involved with making machinima in the engine. And the other good news is that while there's still a lot to learn, in my opinion, it's a lot easier to learn what's in this guide than in the other one. You have to be kind of hardcore to just dive into the animation end of things. Animators are a different breed. They take oaths, get the tattoos, form gangs, you know how it is. Anyway, between these two guides, you should be unstoppable as far as making machinima. You'll be a one-man studio if you want. That doesn't happen overnight, which is why we have this guide. Here we're going to cover the topics of coming up with ideas, a few tips on writing, voice recording, audio editing, demo recording, camera work, video editing, and some other related topics. The tone of this is going to be very informal, and I try to insert my own commentary and some jokes when I can. They're a little few and far between though, because the main purpose of this guide is to teach you everything I can involved with making machinima, which isn't going to happen if I just make jokes for 4 hours or however long this is going to be. The beginning of this tutorial, especially the sections on ideas and writing, are going to be less structured. They'll be more like a lecture, like I'm doing right now, rather than an actual step-by-step guide. However, the latter parts will be much more specific and provide clear steps on how to accomplish the different aspects of machinima production. And let's talk about machinima for a minute. Some of this is going to be a repeat of what I've said in the choreography guide. So if you've already gone through that, you can skip ahead to the next section if you don't like hearing me talk about the same thing twice. Okay, machinima is a relatively new word that's supposed to be a combination of the words machine and cinema. There's some debate about what the definition of it is, but I define it as movies made using a game engine. You probably already had a clue about that since it's in the title of this guide, but I like to define it anyway. Who knows, in a few years it could become a household word, or it could just remain a niche interest for the gaming community. It's hard to say. Regardless, it's a great medium. You can accomplish things with it that simply aren't possible for an amateur filmmaker and at a minimal cost. Now there are a ton of games out there that you can film in, and there's more coming out all the time. This guide focuses on games that use the Source Engine by Valve Software. The most famous game that uses it is Half-Life 2 and its sequels, but there are several others that use it as well, and more are coming out for it. The Source Engine really stands out against a lot of other games for movie-making purposes, because it's designed so that it can be modified for the end user. This gives you a lot of options as a filmmaker. You can position characters the way you want them, create your own environments for them, move them around, interact with objects, play and manipulate animations, have lip syncing for when they talk, facial expressions, a bunch of stuff. Now unfortunately you'll need the choreography guide to learn how to do all that stuff I just mentioned, but my point is that it's very flexible for making movies. In my opinion, it's the best engine available right now for making machinima in terms of what you can accomplish with it. That's not to say there's no room for improvement, as you'll find out, but it has a lot of potential and I plan to be using it for years to come. But back to filmmaking. Aside from all the animation benefits, let's talk about the advantages the Source Engine has for actual filming. The biggest advantage for me is that the Source Engine does not have to record your footage in real time. I'll elaborate more on this later, but this means that the speed of your computer doesn't matter when you're recording. Your footage will never look choppy using the engine's method. Another big advantage of filming is that you have a lot of flexibility with your camera shots. You can move your camera to any position. You can have moving shots. You can have very complicated moving shots with very fluid motion. You can attach your camera to moving objects or look through the eyes of one of your characters. So if there's a specific shot you want when making your movie, you can probably get it. Again, we'll go over all that later. Another advantage is that due to how the engine records, you can add in motion blur to your footage. It's a neat effect that can make your animations look a little more realistic. Another advantage, which really shouldn't be one, is that the source engine supports anti-aliasing, so you can have a nice clean-looking image. This is a pet peeve of mine, but for some reason, many modern-day games for the PC especially will have amazing-looking graphics but be incompatible with anti-aliasing. This means that you'll always have dodgy image quality with jagged edges to everything. So the bottom line is that you can have good image quality when filming in the source engine. There are lots of little things that I like, and hate for that matter, about the source engine, but those are some of the highlights when it comes to filming. Now Noesis, the company that's producing this guide, says I should tell you a little bit about myself in the introduction here. Well, my name's Ross Scott. Right now I work doing contracts on media-related projects, like this guide for Noesis here, and various odd jobs. I've been making machinima since 2006, so that's not a very long time, but the source engine has practically consumed my life since then. It stemmed from a desire of me wanting to make movies, but having almost no resources to do so. My main machinima creation has been a series that's set within the game Half-Life 2 called Civil Protection. It's a comedy series about police officers in a dystopian environment and is still ongoing. It's filmed entirely using the source engine and is the reason I learned all this stuff in the first place. It's turned out to be much more popular than I anticipated and has doubled as a portfolio for me. So feel free to check that out. The episodes are available for free online. In the meantime, let's look at a video that was created specifically to go with this guide and show some of what's possible with the source engine. It's called Galaxy Gold. It's a slightly strange comedy set on a gas station in the middle of space. Looking back on it, I think it might be a little cornier than I originally realized, so you've been warned.